Hello, everyone. This is Yamina from DrGPCR, and welcome to the video edition of the DrGPCR newsletter, to the 2023 October edition. And I'm very excited to have with me Dr. Kathleen Caron. Kathleen, welcome.
Great. Hello. Thank you, Yamina, and welcome to the community. It's great to be here.
Very excited to have you with me. We just hit record. We talked about a lot of things in the past 9 or 8 minutes, but let's start at the beginning. It's October 20th. We're going to the Great Lakes GPCR retreat. I know you're going to. Very excited to hear about your talk.
Yes, I'm really excited to go and looking forward to reconnecting with, colleagues and old friends and just learning some great science. The pandemic has been such a long time, and many of us are starting to go back to in-person conferences now, and it truly is so refreshing and invigorating. And I have perhaps the honor of my career to kick off the meeting with a memorial lecture for my father. It's going to be difficult. I won't lie. It's going to be a really challenging lecture, but I've been thinking about it a lot, and I really want to focus on maybe not the scientific accomplishments, because they're so familiar to so many in the GPCR community, that perhaps better to others than to me, who's a family member. So I want to focus my comments on the personal traits and qualities that really permeated through the research lab and the scientific discoveries, but really, what made Mark Caron such a special person.
Awesome.
And so I hope that I can deliver that, and then maybe if I have enough time in that time allotted, is share some really exciting data that we have on a new project that I've just been really excited about. In fact, I wish Dad were here, because he would be so excited about it too. So it's a new project that we're spearheading. It's under revision right now. Okay. But I'm going to share this with the community. So there'll be some new data to share.
That's very exciting. And then you'll tell us more about it once you hear back from the reviewers. I don't know if I can.
We heard back, and we got, I mean, sometimes reviews are tough, right? I mean, you have to take 24, and sometimes you have to take 48 and just really, digest. But wow, we're very grateful to the anonymous peer reviewers out there, if they're listening. Thank you for the great advice. I mean, what a great review. We got some really great feedback that's going to make the paper better. We're excited to do the recommended experiments, and it's very positive. Like, it's just great to submit a paper and get great feedback. Like, yes, this is a great thing. So we're pretty excited. So we're already working on it right now. My graduate student is at the bench, furiously working away on some really great suggestions by the reviewer. So
very excited.
You've gone right, which is nice. Good. Nice to know. Yeah. Good.
Absolutely. Can I ask, what was the work about? What is the work about, if you're comfortable sharing?
So the work is, again, very new and unexplored, where we had discovered a new role for lymphatic vessels in migraine. And this is something that is really unexplored and unknown to date. There's only a few papers who've begun to think about how meningeal lymphatic vessels, which are newly discovered, and I should say rediscovered recently, and really, it's not quite known the physiology and the pathology of these vessels. And there have been several high-profile papers linking these vessels to all kinds of neurological conditions. But migraine has not piqued that yet. And because of the proteins that we study, and because they're drug targets for migraine pain and most of the medications that treat migraine, it was kind of a natural synergy to blend those two hypotheses together. And the findings were quite remarkable. So yeah, we're really excited to share these results with the field. And I think it will really illuminate what is currently unknown about how migraine pain is manifested and how these drugs work. And so we hope that this is really going to shed some new light on all of these processes, which of course involves GPCRs.
Well, obviously, obviously, there's no such thing that, no physiological event is GPCR free. There is some GPCR connection everywhere. Well, this is super exciting. I can't wait to hear your talk. I'm also excited. We talked about this. I know that your lab is growing. So let's dive into that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, the lab is growing partly because of these new discoveries, and we've also, written a grant on this, and it extends upon our interest in GPCRs and RAMP family members and the different GPCRs that they interact with. And so we are growing the lab, and I've been interviewing, and I'm currently interviewing and very interested in talking to candidates, postdoctoral fellows who have experience in GPCR assays, who are interested in thinking and exploring how allosteric modulators can change functional selectivity of receptors or downstream signaling of receptors, and actually even further, how that can be applied in different cell types. So one of the aspects of our laboratory is that we take, cell-based receptor studies and apply them to organ physiology, and recognizing that a receptor may do something quite different in a neuron than it does in a pancreatic beta cell or in a cardiac myocyte. And so we leverage our mouse models to kind of explore the heterogeneity of GPCR signaling and these allosteric modulators in different physiological contexts. So the ideal person that I would love to recruit is someone who can do, GPCR assays, right? Like let's throw in biosensor, and let's, look at functional selectivity and different downstream signaling, and then that individual who's an expert in GPCRs, work with someone who's an expert in physiology and animal models. And so the lab is really built in teams. We work in teams, we complement one another. Almost all our papers have co-first authors because we really blend these two types of science together. And so I think it's quite powerful, and it's a fun environment. We have a lot of fun together, and we are recruiting, and there's an ad posted, and I'm definitely looking forward to going to the retreat and meeting new graduate students and postdocs who might be interested in that type of research. So.
Very exciting. Now it makes me wonder if we have the job ad up in the ecosystem. If we don't,
you do.
Okay.
You do. Yes.
All right.
It's posted on the ecosystem. It was posted a few weeks ago, so it might be a little lower on the thread. It is there. That is the first place that I posted it, because I'm really, really focused on folks who really know GPCRs. I would love that expertise on my team, and I know that folks are out there. So
fantastic.
It would blend nicely to future careers either in academia or in pharmaceutical industry. There's a lot of future growth potential for this position. So.
Agreed. No, that's very exciting. I will have our team who will re-listen to this recording post the link, or at least when we advertise this video, we can have that link also posted into that.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
And for anyone listening or watching this video, if you're going to be at the Great Lakes GPCR retreat, which was greatly oversubscribed, and we had, there were so many emails that came into my inbox, and I had to direct it to the Ottawa team. Great success, very exciting. It's good news. Yes, we had to close registration. Great. I think 3 weeks ahead of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? My goodness. Oh, that's sad. We don't want to turn anyone away.
I know. It was so difficult for me, or anyone, for that matter, from the organizing team, to say we're sorry. We don't have any more space left. I guess we if it weren't in November in Quebec, we could have just gotten a tent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We could just get some RVs and pitch some tents, and we'd have so much fun.
I think it would have been so much fun. Definitely. No, absolutely. This is great news.
Yeah. And how are things going with you in the ecosystem, and any new projects that you're working on?
Plenty. So first of all, the GPCR retreat, as I'm one of the co-organizers. It's been a very fun 18 months. 18 months? Yes.
Yes.
Hold on. Well, no, yes, about 18 months since we started organizing. It flew by like this. super
It's a
excited.
lot of work, and you know, our community is grateful to you and all the
Thank you.
organizers. I mean, and if ever you organize a conference, you know, I don't think until you do it, you don't quite realize the amount of work. So
Yes.
thank you to you and your team and all the organizers.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to do it, but I know you've been so busy.
Yes, yes. And it's been honestly a very busy week because thanks to the organizer, to the, I want to say the Ottawa, Montreal, and Sherbrooke teams, DrGPCR got the opportunity to have a table where people can stop. I actually even bought a microphone, a microphone, so we can have live interviews recorded at the retreat. And the big stress in my life this week was the fact that I ordered a table runner and also a 10 by 7 foot banner where people can come and take selfies with the logo. And we're trying to figure out, you know, you go to these trade shows and the question is, okay, you see these water bottles, all these branded items, and I was trying to figure out what is it that we can get that's unique. So we ended up ordering coasters that have the logo, and they also have a QR code. And if people at the retreat scan it, they would get a, I think 6 months free premium membership access to the ecosystem.
That's awesome.
That's our gift to the community.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. That's really good.
Very excited.
Very smart, because you can put a coaster, you know, everybody's got their coffee cup at work, you know, so you put the coaster there. That's awesome. That's a really good thought.
Yeah, you lose the pen, you lose the bottle, you lose all of these, but I don't think I've seen coasters at any other trade shows.
No, it's a really very innovative idea. I love it. In fact, I might think about it for our department. We did the same thing recently for our department. We were thinking of doing, you know, starting to pre-order little holiday for folks in the department.
Yeah.
And I said, no more water bottles. You know, everybody at home has so many water bottles. It's just, and of course, if you have a teenager, it has to be the special water bottle. You know, it can't be, you know,
just any water bottle.
A trade show water bottle, right? So yeah.
I'm not allowed to bring home mugs, water bottles, and toys from trade shows.
But the coasters to go with them is brilliant, Yamina. It's totally brilliant.
Thank you. I thought it was really cool. I'll share with you the link of the website where we order them.
Oh, okay.
But it was a whole excitement thing because I needed to get those ordered so that we can receive them on time, so that we can pack them in the car when we drive up to Canada. So very exciting. So that's one thing that's happening. Later next month, so in about a month, we're hosting our last DrGPCR symposium. And it's called GPCRs in Immuno-Oncology. And we're changing the format for this one. So far this year, we've been hosting one-day live events where we have Zoom calls and we have speakers, we have trainees. We tried not to segregate the trainees from the PI. So sometimes you had, I don't know, Terry Kinakin presenting, and then you had a trainee before that or after that. And I didn't tell the trainees just not to stress them out. But this time we decided to keep it as a roundtable. And so we've invited experts who can come and talk to us about GPCRs in immunology and oncology. We have Xavier Leroy, who is the former CSO of Domain Therapeutics, joining us. And also we have the wonderful Silvio Gutkin from UCSD as a.
I have his name on the tip of my tongue. You can't have that topic without him. So.
Exactly. But if anyone listening, or you, Kathleen, have suggestions for adding more panelists on our roundtable, we very much welcome that. We sent emails, we're waiting, but we're a month away. We'd like to have at least 4 or 5 panelists on there. Anyone who works on GPCRs in immunology and or oncology, either they're in industry, their level at this, we don't discriminate. So if it's a postdoc who has experience working on these in this topic, more than welcome to have them go through this roundtable. I think it's nice. You put it in your resume. You were at the DrGPCR symposium roundtable panelist.
Yes, I'm jotting it down on my little post-it note because I'm going to send you some suggestions as I think of. Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be great. What else do we have? So I'm cheating also because I have it in here. So we have launched this week, although the social media posts go out next week, a second series of podcast episodes. As you remember, the first one was honoring your dad last in January. This time we have Richard Premont, who volunteered to give us a couple of episodes about the history of GPCRs and G proteins and the field in general. So we recorded one episode that came out this week with Richard about him. And the next following episodes, first one, we're going to talk about G proteins. And then the last two, we're going to talk about GPCRs. And it was fascinating.
I just saw Richard, and I think he was either about to record or had just recorded, but I just saw him recently, and he was so excited about this. But like, he's perfect for this, right? I mean, because Richard is just an encyclopedia of knowledge, as those who know him know this, and he's so precise and accurate and just knows all of this, he has this wealth of knowledge, right?
Yep,
which he just is just so humble and like, just what a great person and what a great pick to do this. And
I think so too. And he volunteered.
Yeah.
And by the way, I welcome anyone who wants to talk about GPCRs or the field. We were also with Richard, we were thinking, oh, you know what's missing is a book that encapsulates all of these. And I think it would really go hand in hand with what we're trying to accomplish with the podcast, is really capture the stories behind the discoveries.
Yes.
It's a tough,
there are a lot of them. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a tough thing to do. I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm saying it would be really nice if we had a team brought together who would help us really find the papers and find the authors, and maybe have interviews with the authors or anyone working in in their labs. It could be really nice to have the GPCR encyclopedia type of thing with data.
And I want to make a parallel thought about this, about what an important idea this is, and how now is the time. Because in our department, we have a history of the department, and folks are retiring now, and life moves on, right? And we realized at one point, for example, a former faculty member of the department, who's now deceased by many years now, discovered synaptic vesicles. This was discovered in our department, and no one knows this, right? And so we've talked about, as a department, as a community, how we should be writing down our history, because, and I think for the field of GPCRs, it's a new field. I mean, frankly, right? Like, if you want to compare it to like all of science, right? It does have a timeline, right? When the receptors were, and when the G proteins were discovered. Yes. And it's still kind of contemporaneous with folks who we know and who we can talk to. And so we can have real live, the people who were there are still here. And so, it's an important thing to capture that history and, capture those stories for the future, because soon they might get lost.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Richard and I recorded the first episode on G proteins, and he was telling, and yes, you're right. He had all his notes, all the dates, all the first authors, all the team. Like, wow, how did that even happen? But he was very prepared, and he was telling the story of Al Gilman moving from Virginia to Texas, and then the assays weren't working, and just the fact that, and I'm not going to say more about it because I want people to go listen to it. The fact that the first assays were done with ATP, and the ATP wasn't pure, and it had some GTP in there, and it turns out that when they separated the two entities, it wasn't the ATP, it was the GTP, because the G protein used it to catalyze the reaction, which I thought was really interesting. And then the aluminum fluoride that was in the water, actually it was either in the water in Virginia and from Virginia, but they went back from Texas to bring water from Virginia to do the experiments, and then they washed the borosilicate tubes multiple times. They collected all the water, and then they did a metal analysis and realized that it was the aluminum that was activating the G protein in a system where you didn't have when you would only put the components together, only, quote unquote.
Right. And isn't it amazing how these things just, you just stumble and trip upon them, right?
Yeah.
that I think that serendipity of science sometimes
Yes.
is
Yes.
it's a wonderful thing to reflect on, and also does make us human in a way, right? You know, when the experiments aren't working, and you know, sometimes it's just serendipity, and um,
Yeah.
you know, so these stories are really, I don't know, at least for me, they give me hope, you know, that and I can keep going and keep
Yeah,
working on that experiment.
exactly.
Yeah.
Me as well. And it was very interesting that Richard made, so two things. Richard made a comment around the fact that all of these papers with the aluminum and the discoveries are actually were published. So people were publishing more frequently. So you can kind of follow the story.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other thing is that some of the G proteins were not called G proteins at the beginning. So if you go to PubMed and you're looking for G proteins, you have to know what keywords to use, or you have to know the authors to find these papers. I think it would be really nice to capture this in a written format.
Yes.
All of this story.
It really was. Yeah.
Let me think. Let me think about it. I don't know how we could bring together a whole team
And it doesn't exist, does it? Does it
No.
exist now? There's no such thing that exists.
For the field, I don't think so. I think Richard was mentioning that the last update on GPCRs is a review that he wrote several years ago, and there is no other newer versions of a review.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, yeah,
Yeah.
what a great thing. We should all encourage Richard and help him, right? To the
Yes.
extent that we can help him. And also,
Absolutely.
you know, there's some funny stories too. You know,
Yes.
there's just it's yeah, there's just people have stories and twists
Yeah.
and turns and
Yeah.
you know, aha moments that were so unexpected. And I think that's what makes being in science so fun, right? It's sometimes very unexpected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Then the last news is that we're building out the DrGPCR University. And the idea is that we would like to have within the ecosystem to have a collection of classes that would be of interest for the GPCR community at large. Science, yes. Grant writing, and I'm looking at you and smiling here because I know you and I talked about it.
Yes.
And then we're trying to figure out what is the best format. The idea is that we want our premium members, obviously encourage everybody to become a premium member, and then they can take these courses. They can connect directly with the professors and the teachers. You don't have to have 30 years of experience in the field. You can be a postdoc who's very good at developing a methodology, developed a methodology, published on it. That's a great course that can go into the DrGPCR University. We want to collect a decent number of courses, and then people in the ecosystem will be able to vote for the top 3 best courses. And we're hoping to reward those top 3 best courses with cash prizes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Now, the other concept.
How are you going to decide what the courses are?
So we already have an outline as to what type of courses we're looking for.
Okay.
So there is wet lab, dry lab, there's all sorts of ideas. We have a Google form that's going to be in the written version of this newsletter that people can submit, and they can tell us if they would like to take a course, and if yes, what do they want to learn about? Who is the person we should contact? But these people can also tell us if they want to teach.
I see. Yeah. And it's like wet lab, dry lab type. It's methodological type stuff.
Yes.
Not like career development stuff, but
No.
methodological.
Absolutely. Yeah. Science-based, science-focused, GPCR-focused. Any methods, for example, that could be useful for the GPCR field that is not as widely used, that's acceptable. No, we're not thinking about career advice, unless it's, I think, it could be very interesting if we think about faculty positions.
Yeah.
In the field, and that's a cue here because I know we talked about it. You mentioned that there are several faculty positions open at the university.
There are a few here at UNC, but you know, it is that time of year. Sometimes I think postdocs may not realize that there's a cycle to faculty positions. You know, and it's a little. It's kind of obvious, isn't it, that it's based on the academic calendar. So you know, universities hire many departments hire because they want an educator to come in August and start teaching classes, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole cycle, even for research intensive positions, is kind of predicated on the academic calendar. So this is the time of year that, you know, positions have, it's usually late September, early October that positions get posted. So if you're a postdoc that's looking for positions, for faculty positions, now is the time to start looking at all of those. And then, you know, the search committees usually take 2 or 3 months to evaluate candidates, and then the interviews start. So, you know, if you're on the job market, this is a busy time of year, and time to be looking. And we have several open here at UNC. There's one in the biochemistry department, and a few in the clinical departments. And yeah, and people can go to the UNC HR website, and all of our faculty positions are posted there.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so now let's close off the loop with the university and the teaching. So we want to build this collection of courses within the DrGPCR University. And we also thought of something. I mean, it's great if you go online, you watch the video and you learn something, and there's some written material and you can connect with the teacher. But the thinking was, how about we actually do a first version of it so that the courses are live on Zoom, and then you can actually ask questions live. These are recorded, and then these will end up in the ecosystem. And I'm very excited to announce that our first course is launching in January. And our first course is given by none other than Dr. Terry Kanakin.
Oh, wonderful.
I think it's going to be
colleague
great.
Here at UNC. You couldn't have picked a better person.
Right?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be great. And Terry's just very enthusiastic. He's an amazing teacher.
Yes.
And I think there will be a lot of interest from folks to, you know, get that pharmacology 101 class, and then you get access to talk to Terry and ask questions live, which I think is really great from the comfort of your home.
Yes, yeah, no, and he has, I can be a testament to that. My graduate student, who's a pharmacology graduate student, you know, was a student in Terry's pharmacology class here at UNC. And, you know, she just swoons over him. You know, he's just amazing. And, you know, everything is so clear and everything, you know, and it is. And he just has a real wonderful flair and knack for taking really complicated stuff and making it digestible and understandable, and then building upon it, right? So just a star educator. We're you know, honored that he's here at UNC. Yeah, he's amazing.
He's amazing. So we're very excited about this. So there's a lot of work in the background that's being done, but I encourage everyone to fill out the Google form, which is linked in the written version of the newsletter. And if people haven't signed up to the DrGPCR monthly newsletter, they can do so by going to the website. Scroll down to the bottom, and we have a set of links in the footer that they can go and find the DrGPCR newsletter to sign up, and then they can get the news in there. Very exciting month.
Yeah, you're just so busy doing so much.
I know, but I have to say I have an amazing team as well. So it's not just all me, but I like to get creative, and I think the university is really this big jump here on the things that we're doing. And it would be really, really nice to be able to have teachers who would come regularly, and then you can take a course. We obviously ask people, you know, it's not a lengthy thing. We're thinking of 3 or 4 sessions of an hour and a half, and having them interactive, I think it's really a nice way to add to it. I know it's not the same thing as in person, but you could be sitting on a beach in Hawaii and taking a pharmacology course, because what else would you do in Hawaii on a beach?
Exactly. Well, if you're listening to this podcast, probably that's what you would be doing.
Exactly. Yes. If you're in the field. Okay, let's add that there.
But I should say too that, you know, for better or worse, the pandemic did teach us to be good innovators. And, you know, I know our faculty, you know, at the time, it was terrifying. You know, we had to pivot to this just completely foreign, you know, mode of education.
Yeah.
But but wow, I think we're pretty good at it now, you know, and there's a lot of benefits to, well, first you just have an international community of people who can
Yes.
join in learning, which is great. But there's a lot of great innovative techniques now, and the platforms are so user friendly. So yeah, it's
No.
gonna be great.
I think so too. Thank you, Kathleen, for your time.